Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Europe. Sorry. Good afternoon, North America. Good evening, Europe. Uh, got that backwards a little bit. Anyway, today do we have a treat for you? Uh, Today is the 9th. Is that correct? It's Thursday. It is, yeah, it must be the 9th. 9th of July, 2015. And today is MRBC Div A all day long. We've got Black Spikes, Orange Sky, Black Spikes Team 1 versus White Death Mercenary Company, European Div A of MRBC, coming up in about 5 minutes. Later tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, we have Imperial versus Clan Smoke Jaguar, Division A for North America. Going to be an excellent day of games for MechWarrior Online. For those of you not familiar with MRBC or its format, MRBC is a series, it's a round robin tournament in which every team plays each other twice. Each match is a series of 5 drops, each with its own unique drop composition and feel, format, some with additional restrictions, some with bonuses for completing secondary objectives. So I'll just go straight to this. First drop this week is on HPG Manifold, and that is the Reconnaissance drop. 4 lights, 4 mediums. Your drop deck must consist of at least 2 ECM carrying mechs. Usually we've seen Griffin 2Ns, the ECM mediums for the Inner Sphere, for the ECM mechs, but we've also seen a Kit Fox here and there, a few Raven 3Ls, so it's not set in stone what they're going to be bringing. Second drop is Recon and Force, 2 lights, 4 heavies, 2 lights, 4 mediums, 2 heavies, and this is on New River City, the remastered map that they had just put in just 2 days ago. So these teams have not dropped on this in a competitive sense before today. No ECM restrictions for that recon drop. The third drop is the Commander Assassination drop. 3 mediums, 4 heavies, and a single Highlander. That Highlander is your drop commander. Keep him safe, kill the other one. You're able to throw 50,000 C-bills towards your team. That will be on Mining Collective tonight. Well, tonight for Europe, I suppose. This afternoon for North America. The fourth drop, Flank Engagement. 2 lights, 2 mediums, 2 heavies, 2 assaults. That will be on Force Colony. And there's a bonus for your team if you're able to take down the heavies and assaults of the opposing team. Both teams are actually able to earn this. If your Highlander gets killed in the third drop, you don't get a bonus. Even if you're able to kill the other Highlander, your commander died. But in drops 4 and 5, you can get bonuses on both teams. We did see that last time. Last time Black Spikes played. It doesn't happen often. In fact, Black Spikes is the only one. It was the Black Spikes versus Ninth Blood and Fire match, drop 5, in which both teams got the 50,000 C-bill bonus for destroying the heavies and assaults of the other team. And the fifth and final drop of each series is the Center of Battle. This is the heaviest drop of the match. 2 lights, 2 heavies, and 4 assaults, not a single medium. That'll be on Caustic Valley today. Once again, kill the 2 heavies and 4 assaults on this drop. Earn 50,000 more C-bills. MRBC is more based off of C-bill earnings. It's not a straight up or down. How many games did you win or lose? Every single kill counts toward your standing in this league. That's why I have both game counts, just for an easy, quick look at, okay, how many drops has one team won over the other. But also on the bottom is C-bill totals, which I will also be updating to show exactly where the team stands as far as this match goes in relationship to the broader league. So, doesn't look like the lobby is set up quite yet, but we are nearing match time, so it shouldn't be too much longer until we get into the fight. See, yesterday, there's a bit of a scheduling mix-up, as we had a week 2 match in the middle of week 3 last night for North America, but for EU, Antara Scorpions EU went up against Ninth Blood and Fire, taking it 3-2 in some excellent games. So it should be good. Let's see. As far as Black Spikes, Orange Sky versus White Death, Merc Core, they haven't met each other in MRBC quite yet, but they have both played Ninth Blood and Fire. Let me just look up that pre-match scheduled matches. Let me look up how they did. White Death Merc Core took Ninth Blood and Fire 4-1. Black Spikes won over Ninth Blood and Fire 3-2. So it seemed that just sort of basing each team tangentially to each other, White Death Mercenary Company just sort of seems to have the edge over Black Spikes. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see White Death's game against Ninth Blood and Fire, but if there's anything like Black Spikes, and it was a close one. In fact, I would say Black Spikes versus Ninth Blood and Fire was so close that it technically did go both ways. Now, what I mean by that is they had to redrop the 4th drop, the flank engagement 2-2-2-2 setup last week against Ninth Blood and Fire. And the first time Black Spikes won the drop, the second time Ninth Blood and Fire won the drop. So it literally did go both ways. So had it not been for a bit of a minor rule infraction, unfortunately Black Spikes accidentally dropped with 4 clan mechs instead of 3. Each team is limited to only 3 clan mechs per drop. They would have taken Ninth Blood and Fire 4-1 instead of 3-2, which would have put them tied with White Death Mercenary Company as far as matches against Ninth Blood and Fire. Anyway, exciting set of matches today. I hope you enjoy yourself, and we should be getting started pretty soon. I'll see you then. And I tried to play this last night, but Instagram is terrible at playing videos. New footage from the Forced Colony remastering. Forced Colony being the next map that will get the same treatment that River City did. So it seems Forest Colony is Redwood Colony. Those trees look enormous. So it seems both teams are in lobby and getting ready to drop, so we should have a match soon. And we have a match. Pause that and drop. There we go. Drop 1 of European Division A, Black Spikes Orange Sky versus White Death Mercenary Company. Black Spikes will be in blue today, and White Death in red. So I already see a Raven 3L on White Death, and a Griffin 2N on Black Spikes. Come on. There we go. Come on. Oh. Regulus spawning all alone on this entrance in his fire starter for White Death. And the rest of the drop deck for White Death looks like an Adder, Enforcer, Wolverine, second Enforcer, Stormcrow, 2 Ravens, Raven 3Ls, those are the ECM mechs for White Death. And for Black Spikes we have a fire starter, 2 fire starters, a Huggin, and an Adder for the lights, 2 Griffin 2Ns, a Stormcrow, and a Wolverine for the mediums. Wolverine's 7k. Alpha Zulu Tango taking dual UAC 5s. Stormcrow with a bunch of streaks. Griffin 2Ns are SRM powerhouses for Black Spikes. More SRMs. So, generally speaking, most drop decks have been very, very close and personal. The SRM Wolverine. See lots and lots of SRMs. And, this is for you. You know who I'm talking to. Anyway. Streak Adder, small pulse laser fire starters. Wow, the Raven 3Ls carrying SRMs. You almost never see that. 3Ls are known for their large laser poking just because they're shielded by their ECM in the pug queues. I don't think we've seen an SRM 3L in this tournament so far. White Death holding in this trench area, while Black Spikes holding on the other side. Seems that both teams are just sort of poking at one another, seeing what's up. Calf Angst, my Hype Master General, getting ready for the tournament today. He hasn't been so hype for me. And Black Spikes moving underneath the manifold, trying to get an angle on White Death. But it seems White Death knows that there are at least a few mechs from Black Spikes under the manifold, and they're keeping a close eye on it. So far, not much action. But both teams are packing. Oh, UAV out for White Death. So any Black Spikes mech that comes out of that entrance should be detected by it. White Death starting to move up on top of the manifold, taking shots at Slim Shady in his fire starter. And now White Death has moved out from underneath the manifold and are engaging the rear of White Death. Kos in his Raven dueling with Rapovsky. Rapovsky going down in his Griffin. In his Wolverine. And now it's just Kosi trying to take out the legs of Frax Griffin, taking out ECM and a lot of firepower for that'd be for
New target up.
2-3-3-3. All tied up now. Streak Adder unloading into the side of the wall.
Right torso critical damage.
Being focused down by Alpha Zulu Tango with his dual UAC Enforcer.
Critical damage.
Almost dying to it. Calf Angst and his Stormcrow fighting against Pineapple Salad and his dual UAC Enforcer. Calf Angst losing a leg and then losing his life.
Target acquired.
And 4-7.
Target destroyed.
That is that. First game goes to White Death Mercenary Company. 8-4. So those dual UAC Enforcers were certainly at the top of the mediums for White Death Mercenary Company. But Calf Angst in that Street Crow doing almost 600 damage. Not enough to tip the tide in favor of Black Spikes, though. Do notice that Rapovsky was killed very, very early on. Only 20 damage out of his SRM-18 Wolverine. That early death may have been the difference between winning and losing between these two teams. White Death taking game 1. Current score 380,000 to 40,000. Bring up the friends list. And bring up the maps. Where are you? There you are. Auto scene switcher. Working well enough for Gemp. So, White Death had a single light drop right at there, that entrance, and the main force on the south side, whereas Black Spikes both spawned on the north entrance. Now for the first part of the match, passive from both teams. White Death taking that area and holding it, while Black Spikes held this area. Now, they were at a standoff here. They weren't really able to push into the other team. So, Black Spikes went underneath the manifold to try to get this angle on White Death Mercenary Company. So, if it hadn't been found out, it would have been a very, very strong move. I don't think that they were counting on it being found out, though. It's sneaky, but it's not game-breaking if you're found. So White Death moved on top of the manifold with a view down onto that entrance, which Black Spikes did come out of, and Black Spikes engaged from below. It was probably Black Spikes allowing White Death to get that high ground and that good vantage point on them that certainly gave them advantage in the early engagement. Okay, they're still in lobby, and that probably helped White Death take that fight. So that's the extent of the overarching strategy for that game. Second drop this week is on the New River City. Always exciting to see a brand new map, or I should say a newly remastered map. It isn't it's familiar. It's familiar, but it's new. It's a great new map. Very excited for it. Very excited to see competitive drops on there already. Very, very cool. So while we wait, put on some more MechWarrior 2. Oh. And already we are into the second drop. Here we go. This is the Recon and Force, 2 lights, 4 mediums, 2 heavies on New River City. And this is the first night drop that we've seen. Very interesting. It's either night or dawn. Evening or dawn, one of the two. But for those who don't know, New River City has time of day. So the battle conditions change. Unfortunately, as of this patch, we are unable to set that time of day in advance, so whatever we drop on we get. White Death, starting with their 2 enforcers that they brought last time, a Firestarter and a Dragon. On that, Stormcrow, Wolverine R, that's the AC Wolverine if I remember correctly, second Dragon, and an Adder. Interesting, 2 dragons. Now, I don't believe we've seen dragons in this drop. Usually it's a Timberwolf and a Hellbringer, or 2 Thunderbolts. But anyway, for Black Spikes, we see Wolverine 6K, the large laser, Enforcer 4R, second Wolverine 6K, and a Stormcrow for the mediums. There's the Hellbringer and the Timberwolf that I was talking about. 2 Raven 2Xs, large laser Ravens. And I don't know if I like the night vision better. Better turn it off. So we have White Death taking this upper city area. We saw Marine Mechs take this area in the first match this week against Antara Scorpions. And here we have Black Spikes taking the Citadel area. We have not seen this position yet so far, and it seems we already have people taking revenge on the statues and trees of this area. Right now, both teams content to just reinforce their area and keep a lookout. No pressure to push yet. Frack the system with his Wolverine 6K large lasers, just taking a few shots at White Death across the bay. Or I should say, across the river. Slim Shady and the Ravens going up. Oh man, Slim Shady really fell after the real Slim Shady, right? Anyway, taking the new starport area and applying pressure to the other side of the bridge. White Death taking a couple shots. I don't know what they're firing at though. I suppose he was firing at Alpha Zulu Tango. And now it seems that White Death is kind of pinned where they are right now. And dawn is breaking. Seems still not much going on. Black Spikes is starting to move forward onto White Death Mercenary Company's position. Arlock and his Hellbringer sticking pretty significantly out onto the bridge. Kafank's trying to get on top of the Citadel for a better vantage. And we're still waiting on any sort of movement from White Mercenary. Oh, and here we go. They're starting to really start to hammer these Raven 2Xs that got a little bit too greedy. Slim Shady, 84%, retreating back into the tunnel area. White Death being very, very passive. Very, very passive this round. Black Spikes in complete control of the center of the map. White Death really can't move out. Just as a note, if no kills are scored or if there's a tie, the team that does the most damage is the tiebreak in that case. 8 minutes left in the match. Sorry folks, had to step away real quick. But it seems while I was gone, White Death, well, tried to move across this area. They're still stuck in the upper city. While they're being passive. Let's take a look at some of the builds. So, White Death seems to be very, very close range in mind. Streaks, UAX, AC5s, medium pulse lasers on the Firestarter, UAX on the Enforcers, AC5s on the Dragons. So very, very close range, hard hitting. While we see all the large lasers coming out of Black Skies. AC5 Dragon. So Gauss Rifle, ER Medium, Stormcrow from Rapovsky on Black Spikes. Xander Peach, Gauss Rifle Enforcer, Gauss Rifle Hellbringer, Gauss Rifle Timberwolf. Very, very large, very, very long range. And they're certainly trading more efficiently than White Death.
New target acquired.
And White Death starting to push onto the position of Black Spikes. And taking a huge amount of abuse. Black Spikes focusing down anyone that's leading. Lemelisk, 47% is Wolverine. Alpha Zulu Tango and his Enforcer getting hit pretty hard, 71%. But now, White Death has closed the gap between Black Spikes. Black Spikes falling back into the new harbor area. UAVs up for both teams, I assume. I only see one UAV in the center for Black Spikes, so I assume as much. 4 kills already for Black Spikes Orange Sky. So that long walk for
target destroyed.
5 down, 6 down for White Death. That long walk did not do them any favors against all the long range abuse that Black Spikes had to offer. 7 down, only Regulus and his Firestarter left. Xander Peach confirms the match. 8-2 in favor of Black Spikes Orange Sky. Calfangst once again, top damage in his Timberwolf. And you can see just the damage numbers, the output that the long range was able to put out over the short range. And that's probably where this game was lost for White Death, was in the drop deck composition. Now, neither team knows this new map very well, as it's just been released on Tuesday. But Black Spikes ties it up 1-1. And 2 kills, so very, very close match in terms of C-bills as well. But like I said, every kill counts. Right now, Black Spikes has 2 more than White Death. So, bring up the map of the new River City. Desktop. And we had White Death. Nope, that's right, this is a smaller map. Smaller map size than the other ones in the files. Let's see. So they dropped in those two locations, if I remember correctly. White Death did, while Black Spikes dropped right there, and I believe the second drop zone is there. But very quickly, White Death took this upper city area, while Black Spikes went straight to the Citadel and set up a firing line on that ridge and along this shoreline right here. Black Spikes sent their Ravens up into the spaceport area to get even more of even more of an angle onto the position of White Death. And there we sat for quite a while until it was probably obvious to White Death that they were just being out-traded. They had less damage on the board, so they had to push onto the location of Black Spikes. And as they pushed, Black Spikes just backed off and around the Citadel, just putting more distance between the two teams. So this push actually became this push, much distance that's a bit longer. And in that push, Black Spikes was just able to unload their long-range large lasers, Gauss rifles, large lasers, the works, and weaken any sort of brawl that White Death was trying to get into. But good match, good match either way. Bring up the friends list and bring up match results. Now the third, the VIP assassination, Commander assassination it's called. It's going to be on the Mining Collective this week. This is 3 mediums, 4 heavies, and a single Highlander. Protect your Highlander and kill the other one for 50,000 bonus C-bills. So it's kills, like I say, every kill does count, but it's really in these bonus C-bills where one team is able to differentiate itself from the pack. This is 50,000 C-bills that not every team will see, as if both teams lose their Highlander, neither team gets the 50,000. The only other bonus that I would say really matters, because in drops 4 and 5, if you win, you're killing all of the other opponents 98% of the time. So your team is going to get that 50,000 C-bill bonus. So one team or the other, or both, sees that 50,000 C-bills. But this, the third drop secondary objective, is 50,000 that not every team, or not every match, I should say, will see. The only other bonus that I would say is that distinguishes the teams from one another is the win all 5 matches bonus. So I obfuscate the rules a little bit when I'm calculating these C-bill totals. They are correct. I have verified and re-verified that at the end of the day these C-bill totals are correct, but I added up a little bit differently than the rules state. The rules state that 250,000 C-bills for a win, 10,000 for a kill, then 50,000 for the various bonuses, with overall match scores for a bonus at the end. If you win 1 of 4 drops, you get 50,000. If you win 2 of 4, if the score is 1-4, you get 50,000 bonus C-bills. 2-3, you get 100. 3-2, you get 150. 4-1, you get 200,000. But if you win all 5, you get 300,000. So if any of you caught that little arithmetic sequence, it's basically 50,000 C-bills for every win, except if you win that 5th and final game, you get an extra 50 on top of that. So teams like Antara Scorpions in A have seen that extra 50 on top of their score quite a lot. SIG has seen that as well, winning 5-0 against Aces Wild in, let's see, that was must have been week 1. So drop 3 is, I would say, perhaps the most important drop of the night, or of the match. But that's sort of my take on the rules. It can certainly be argued that drops 3, 4, or 5 would be the most important drop of the match. Anyway, both teams still in lobby, and just put on some music until they drop. Thankfully, both teams are dropping pretty quickly today. We've seen some very, very long waits in between drops in the past. Whew. What was it? Imperial let's see. I think Imperial 228th last week saw quite a difference in drop times. Well, while we're waiting, I'll go ahead and pull up the map for Mining Collective. Let's talk a little bit about that until the drop. Now, most of this week, the game has been centered right on this area, in some way, shape, or form. And Antara Scorpions, the past 2 games, both NA, North America, and EU teams have jumped up this terrace section to have a little firing line here. But we've also seen reinforcements. Oh, they have dropped. So go ahead and wait on that. Come on. Don't do this to me. Come on. Okay. Whew. Took a while for the spectator mode to catch up. Anyway, this is the 3rd drop, Commander Assassination. 3 mediums, 4 heavies, and a single Highlander. Protect your Highlander, kill the other for a 50,000 C-bill bonus. Okay. So we have Kafangst in his Highlander, 732B. Thunderbolt, 2 Thunderbolts, and a Hellbringer for Black Spike's heavies, as well as a Timberwolf. 2 Wolverines and a Stormcrow for the mediums. For White Death Mercenary Company, we have All the DACA. Holy cow, we've got Dragon 1 and 2 Jägermech DD, Kosi and his Highlander 732B. And do we have another Dragon? Oh, we have a Timberwolf for the final heavy. And for the mediums, we have Wolverine 6R and 2 Enforcer 5Ps. Very, very DACA heavy. Very, very autocannon heavy for every mech. And here we see, this is the area that I was pointing out on the map earlier. Black Spikes jumping up this little terraced area to get a bit of a vantage point over the mech factory, or the mining collective. It's a designated mech factory in the game files. And White Death taking the center. Very, very ballistic heavy. Alpha Zulu Tango out a bit far. Did he just put out... he did put out a UAV. Couldn't see its flames though, but it was taken down pretty quickly. And Rapovsky not looking too good in his Thunderbolt. Got hit very hard from those ballistics. Kafank's not looking too good in his Highlander. It seems the lasers and Gauss don't quite do as good against the AC-5s from White Death Mercenary Company. But Trip UAC-5 Jägermechs, you do not want to stand in front of those.
New target acquired. Target acquired.
Let's take a quick look at health totals. Well, other than Rapovsky, Black Spikes isn't looking too bad. On the other hand, White Death is not looking as good as I thought they would.
New target
The large lasers and Gauss are still slamming into them, doing full damage to all of White Death's autocannons. Score is still 0-0. White Death moving up, trying to close the distance, get into Black Spike's face. And Black Spikes takes the first blood. Followed by second very quickly, third very quickly. Yeah, it's very, very quickly going in favor of Black Spikes. The long-range lasers, 5-0, 6-0. Yeah, that's it. And in a commanding 8-0 victory, Black Spikes takes the third drop. And, as I mentioned before, an extra 50,000 C-bills. So we see Kosi did not do much in his Highlander. Only 78 damage. Alpha Zulu Tango, only 98 damage in his Enforcer. Once the engagement started, the White Death Mercenary Company must have been very soft from that long-range barrage at the beginning. So, Black Spikes, Orange Sky, 2-1. $420 plus 380 plus 50. extends their lead to 850,000 C-bills. That looks a bit better. Okay, I already have... Oh, I need to bring up friends list. Go to desktop. So as I mentioned earlier, this area became the focus of the battle. Let's see, we had... White Death. This side of the map. Oh. Go back up. And... Black Spikes on left side. Black Spikes moved immediately up to this platform area right here. Gets a good vantage point on most of the map. I'd say about here. You can see from that spot. Whereas White Death moved to the center of the map and took this area. And from these two spots, the two teams traded. Black Spikes just traded better. Eventually, White Death pushed out onto the location of Black Spikes, but by then Black Spikes had fallen back and pretty much made a firing line here. And engagement happened, and didn't go well for White Death Mercenary Company. And yes, I do realize I'm not drawing very many penises on the maps today. No, I just don't see many. Just sort of simplistic. Anyway, the fourth drop is Forced Colony. So if you were watching the stream before the match, I showed off a little bit of the new Forced Colony, some footage posted on Instagram, because PGI is using Instagram now. Forced Colony, the very, very first map, put it into the game, designed for 8v8, just like the old River City. So it's very, very small compared to Mining Collective. Mining Collective. I was right. The new River City and HPG Manifold. So I would expect brawling to be a central focus of the drop decks. Peter 2000 in the chat brings up I would say very, very good point. He says DACA should not be trading with decks built to trade. That's what we saw in this last match, where they were trying to trade at range, and the large lasers and Gauss rifles were just out trading them. So that's a good, succinct way to put that match. Thank you, Peter. Anyway, Forced Colony, much more intimate, closed quarters. But yeah, this is a very, very... Well, this is one of the heavier decks. 2-2-2-2. 2 lights, 2 mediums, 2 heavies, 2 assaults. So we have seen some teams try to bring a more ranged deck. I don't think it worked out for them too well. I believe Marine Mechs against Antares Scorpions North America did try to bring a more ranged, efficient trading deck, and it didn't work out for them. They only got 2 kills to Antares Scorpions 8. But anyway, I'm looking forward to the remastering of Forced Colonies. It's amazing what they did with River City. should be good to see what they do with Force Colony. And who doesn't want to knock down all the trees? All of them. Every single tree. Anyway, put the music back on, and we'll wait for the drop. And very, very quickly, they've already dropped. So, Alpha Zulu Tango, spectate. Spectate request sent. And we're starting the fourth drop. Black Spike's Orange Sky versus White Death Mercenary Company. And for the assaults for Black Spikes, we see a Direwolf, a Stalker 4N, Cataphract for one of the heavies, and Stormcrow for one of the mediums. That Stalker 4N is a large laser stalker. I wouldn't call it brawly, but it certainly hurts at mid-range. Timberwolf for the second heavy, Stormcrow and Wolverine 6K, large laser for the mediums, and 2 Raven 2Xs for the lights. For White Death, we see lots of Daka. We see 2 King Crabs. We see Raven 6R, Dragon, Adder, and Firestarter for the lights. And very, very quickly, White Death is taking sort of this, I don't know, I think I've heard it called the ammo depot before. Just right in front of the tunnel. But it had 2 King Crabs, Jägermech, and Dragon. There's Alpha Zulu Tango and his dual UAC 5 Enforcer. These guys want to get up close and personal. Now we see Black Spikes taking to the water and putting a lot of distance in between them and the shore. If Black Spikes, if White Death wants to get anywhere near Black Spikes, they'll have to work for it.
Airstrike online.
Yeah, quad UAC 5s.
Artillery strike online.
Dual
Airstrike
AC5.
online.
Triple UAC 5 Jaeger.
Artillery strike
Where's,
online.
yeah, 2 quad UAC 5 King Crabs. Do not want to get in front of them. White Death sending a contingent to scout out where Black Spikes is. The Enforcer, Wolverine, and Adder.
Artillery strike online.
What does that Adder carry?
Artillery strike online.
And here we see Gauss Rifle, Timberwolf.
Artillery strike online.
There's the large laser Stalker.
Artillery strike online.
Large Pulse and Gauss Rifle Direwolf. So
Airstrike online.
Black Spikes is certainly built for long range engagements. Seems he doesn't notice the Adder just to his right.
Artillery strike on.
Dual Gauss Rifle Cataphract. No backup weapons.
Airstrike online.
And White Death is moving onto the position of Black Spikes, while that smaller lance is drawing the fire of black spikes. Everyone else is moving on to the just straight into battle. Now in drops 4 and 5 there are airstrikes and artillery strikes available to the team, so we will start to see those. There's another airstrike. And already it's not looking good for the position of black spikes. They are pincered in between the very, very heavy assault lance of White Death and the smaller but still very, very high DPS medium lance of White Death. Kafank's getting focused down in his Direwolf, 60%, 50%, falling very quickly. Both King Crabs focusing on that Direwolf and taking him down.
New target acquired.
Score is tied up right now, but anything those two King Crabs look at absolutely falls very, very quickly. Score is 3-4. Oh. Right now, let's see. Let's take a look at
Right torso critical damage. Torso destroyed.
the remaining
Gross ammo
members
destroyed.
of.
Right arm destroyed.
That's 4-6.
Destroyed. Target acquired. New target
it's a streak adder.
acquired.
So let's see. They got
Level.
Streak Adder. Oh, that crab is still very, very fresh.
Heat level critical. Ultra autocannon ammo depleted.
Fresh, but out of ammo.
Left torso critical damage.
It's just 2 remaining members for Black Spikes. 1 remaining.
New target acquired.
And the 4th drop. White Death takes a win. And 50,000 extra C-bills. 1,000 damage! Holy shit! Wow! That's what DACA can do when you get up close and personal. Wow! Excellent execution on White Death's part. Wow! Absolutely insane. So everything is all tied up. 2-2. See, Black Spikes has 890. And White Death has 830. So 6 kills separates this team, these two teams. Oh. Wow. Let's see, bring up Forced Colony. Edit with GIMP. Bring up the friends list just in case, and go to desktop. So, White Death spawns left side, Black Spikes drops right. Black Spikes, very early on, took to the river, whereas White Death went up into Tiny Town. Thanks for the designation, Xerix. And staged pretty much right in front of, it's a bit hard to see on this map, but in front of the tunnel here. They sent off a detachment of lighter mechs, the Enforcer Wolverine and the adder. And they moved on to sort of this protected area just to draw the fire from a pretty heavily entrenched Black Spikes. And when they had Black Spike's attention, White Death stormed the beach from the land. Usually you don't see that. Usually it's the other way around. But they pushed very, very hard, very, very aggressively onto Black Spikes. Those two king crabs doing tremendous amounts of damage, killing anything that they stared at, and engaging Black Spikes in a close quarters combat. And Black Spikes was built for that long-range trading. Large laser stalkers, Gauss rifles on the direwolf, Gauss rifles on the cataphract. Very, very long-range, focused, but they allowed White Death to get close enough to really use those autocannons. And we see a very, very stark difference between this game and the last. Both teams brought very similar-minded drop decks to both of these matches. The difference between the two is that last time the long-range focus deck, the Black Spikes, were able to weaken and basically kill the short-range autocannon focus deck before it had time to really grow into its own and play to its strengths. But here White Death was able to get into the face of Black Spikes and shut it down. Very, very exciting game. And we go into Game 5 all tied up. They're still all in lobby. The final game is on Caustic Valley. Another very early map in MechWarrior Online. Again, designed for 8v8. I expect similar drop decks from both teams because throughout this entire series, White Death has used autocannon focused drops. Even on the lighter drop, they brought autocannon enforcers and Wolverines instead of the more traditional large laser Wolverines or large laser Shadowhawks instead of enforcers. So I expect to see White Death to bring autocannons, to bring those Jaegers, to bring those King Crabs. And I expect to see Black Spikes bring, those large laser builds, those Gauss builds that we've seen them bring as much as they could. So it'll be interesting to see if Black Spikes allows White Death to get close to them again, because if they do, it's game over. It's game over. If they nope, they have not dropped yet. A lot of people dropped. There must be another game going on in my, or at least another group dropping in my friends list. No, we're still in lobby. We're still waiting. But the center of battle, 2 lights, 2 heavies, 4 assaults, very, very, very heavy drop. Hard to say one way or the other. Since the drop is so heavy, I just had this slot. Since the drop is so heavy, both teams are going to be moving slow. It's just the nature of bringing 4 assaults to an 8v8. So it will take longer for White Death to push onto, assuming, or presupposing the two drop decks stay similar composition. It will take longer for White Death to push onto Black Spikes to get into range to where those autocannons really hold their own. So that would say that having a longer ranged, trading focused, large laser Gauss rifle drop deck would be beneficial, would be a bit stronger. But if there's some smart movement, there are plenty of ridges and movement lines that you can take in Caustic Valley to close the distance between you and your enemy. There's not like in the new River City, you saw that pretty far distance that White Death had to traverse in order to get close to Black Spikes. There's not very many places on Caustic Valley that are like that. We saw last week. Who was it? Here we go. Antara Scorpions EU versus White Death Mercenary Company. This was the third drop, or I should say, it was the third drop last week that had Caustic Valley. White Death, now that I think about it, also was very, very autocannon heavy. And they had a very, very interesting... it ended up that they won that drop, but they won by time. The last 30 seconds of the match, Antara Scorpions had posted up sort of the north marshes area. White Death had posted up on the other side of a ridge, and with 30 seconds to go, just bum rushed Antara Scorpions. And they were able to get 2 kills to 1 in that last 30 seconds. Taking the match. So if White Death does nothing for 14.5 minutes, you'll know why. And it seems that they are dropping into the last match. Here we are, the center of battle, the game that determines the match. 2 lights, 2 heavies, 4 assaults on Caustic Valley. And I do see I see 2 loyalty designations. So that looks to me that'll be 2 King Crabs. I assume it's the 2 quad UAC crabs that we saw from earlier for White Death. So expect some big guns this round. For Black Spikes, we have Stalker, Direwolf, Cataphract, and King Crab for the assaults. And spawning in... I haven't seen any team drop in this position yet. Timberwolf, Warhawk, 2 Ravens. So Timberwolf and Cataphract are the 2 heavies. And that is a Gauss Rifle Warhawk. It's a dual Gauss Rifle Warhawk. And this is the exact same area that Antara Scorpions EU took. This little area right here on the other side of the marshes. White Death is the triple UAC 5 Jaeger, triple AC 5 Dragon, hammering at the scouting Ravens, while been found by large laser and Gauss Rifle Direwolf of Calf-Angst, while White Death's Assault Lance moves up to this ridge. Now, if I remember correctly, in that Antara Scorpions match, They did post up originally on this ridge right here, but decided that push distance was going to be too far, and they were going to lose too much. This is a heavier drop than the Commander assassination, and there are 4 assaults: Banshee, King Crab, Direwolf, and there's the second King Crab. And that's a Trip AC5 Banshee, I believe. Some large lasers, large pulse lasers. Anyway, White Death posted up on this ridge, but went all the way around back and posted up on this ridge, which is a bit of a smaller distance to where the other team was holed up. And that's where they made their assault, their push. So a very, very similar setup to what we saw last week. It's a different drop configuration, so that'll certainly change what happens. And we see, just like last week, White Death is moving around back. Let's see if they go over that ridge over there. Let's see, page up. Toggle tags. Doesn't look like there's White Death moving around the caldera still. Yeah. So we see what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mechs from Black Spikes. 5 heavy mechs. There's the Ravens running around. I'm not counting them right now. Indirect line of this push. Coming around here. 5. So Black Spikes, I would say, in a better position than Antara Scorpions were last week. Last week, Antara Scorpions sort of on this hill, as opposed to the hill to the right. And Antara Scorpions, Highlander commander, was out of position, got focused down really, really early down here in the marsh. But Black Spikes knows exactly where White Death is. Put the tags back on. Slim Shady, one who has taken the most damage so far in his Raven. Swing around even farther. That's a sneaky direwolf. I don't think I was actually counting him earlier. So it looks like every single assault from Black Spikes has a good firing line on either of those vectors that White Death can come from. So folks, I think we're going to be in for the long haul. 8.5 minutes left in the match. Love those new sound effects. The collision sound effects. Running into a cliff, rocks crumbling underneath your mech. Excellent. Xander Beach going out to see if White Death is still where they were, but they have moved.
Airstrike online.
Oh no, that's... Wow. 2 UAC 5s, 2 AC2 Banshee. Just get a nice panning shot.
Artillery strike online.
6.5 minutes left. Kosi using 4 Gauss rifles. What are you doing? Holy crap!
Target acquired.
I didn't think I'd see that build today. Kosi was using the heat vision in order to spot the black outlines of mechs. They're still here.
Artillery strike online.
Okay, 4 minutes till the action, people. At least this time we have a timer. White Death moving back to their second spot.
New target acquired.
So, actually, as I mentioned earlier, if the score is tied at the end, it's down to damage counts Now,
target
Slim
acquired.
Shady and Raven 4X is at 85%. 90% frag the system.
Artillery
What's he in?
strike
He is in a
online.
Timberwolf. But looks like I think that White Death has taken more damage than they've given out.
New target.
Oh,
Acquired.
and we're pushing. Black Spikes has rotated around, and they are pushing onto the location of White Death. Let's get into Alpha Zulu Tango's
Artillery strike online.
King Crab. He's backed off now. Kirku getting hit by artillery strike.
Target acquired. New target.
And Black Spikes setting up long-range trading right around here. This is not looking good for White Death. They only have a single small valley to push through. Oh! And the King Crab goes down. 1-0. 1-1. So at least they tied it back up.
Strike online.
But Banshee goes down. Still tied up. 2-2.
Ultra autocannon destroyed.
King Crab loses half of his weapons.
New target acquired.
And
New target acquired. Target destroyed.
4 are down for Black Spikes. 3 down for White Death. So there are 3 down, 3 to 4. 20 seconds left in the match.
Target acquired.
Black Spikes has to push now, or else they will not. Okay, tied up. Oh, 5-5. 6-5. At the very last second, Black Spikes takes the match 6-5. Wow. First, but Kirku was still alive the last assault. So neither team gets that 50,000 bonus. Wow, what an ending. What an ending to a pretty excellent series of games. Am I right? Don't worry. Stuff happens. So we are on a 5-minute delay, so don't worry, chat. I got you covered. But final match score: Black Spikes 3, White Death 2. Let's see, White Death got 5 kills. That brings him up to 880. And Black Spikes got 6 kills, so that's plus 360. So 890. Plus, so let's see, 6 kills, 360. 1250. 1,250,000 C-bills. Final score. where do we have Caustic Valley? Edit with GIMP. Wow. Okay. So for starting positions, we have Black Spikes on the north and White Death on the south. I didn't quite catch where White Death dropped, but I assume it was these two positions, something like that. But early on, Black Spikes had this area covered. So they had excellent sight lines on this ridge and this hill, and this ridge as well. There was no place, basically, this half of the map that White Death could push onto them from. So White Death bringing, very, very brawly, very, very ballistics heavy, quad UAC 5 King Crabs, 2 UAC 2 AC2 Banshee, triple UAC 5 Jaeger mech. They really wanted to get up close and personal. So they stationed up here, bounced back and forth sort of between stationing up here and here for the match. They just sort of bounced back and forth looking for any sort of movement from Black Spikes. Now at the end of the match, White Death right here, but Black Spikes had rotated around to here, and they were on this hill right here, firing on any Black Spikes mech that poked its head up here. A few Black Spikes sort of went around the caldera. The Banshee in particular is the one that I'm thinking of, to get an extra firing line onto Black Spikes. But it was just... It was the least dense brawl that I've seen, I think. Oh, come on. Stream reload. Where are they right now? But anyway, so it came down to the wire. At the very end, it was Black Spike's Timberwolf on this side of the hill with White Death, Adder, and Jaegermech on that side. Pushed around and took them both out, making it 6-5. Holy cow. Very good games. Very exciting ending to the series. So later tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, we have North America Div A. Remember, this is the day of Division A games in MRBC. We have Imperial versus Clan Smoke Jaguars. Imperial smarting off a loss from 228th just a couple days ago. I'm sure they are fired up and ready to really turn their standings in the league around. That loss, they lost 1-4 to 228th, blew Division A wide open, and all four teams are only 2 wins apart from one another. Wow. So everyone's back in contention, and we're about halfway through the season. So, 10 p.m. Eastern, I will see all of you there, or else. And until then, I'll see you on the battlefield. Good Good games, everyone. Good games.